The Zagros Mountains do not sleep quietly. On a clear night in 2025, radar dishes rotate on ridgelines above Fordow. Revolutionary Guard units sit at elevated readiness in underground command posts. The air carries the particular weight of a region that has already crossed one threshold. In October of 2024, Israel launched its most significant direct strike on Iranian soil, and the morning after, Iran counted its damage and recalibrated. The centrifuges kept spinning. The program kept moving. The enrichment level kept climbing toward 90%. Both sides knew another strike was not a question of whether, only when. But this time, the order goes all the way. No calibration, no deniability, no one-night message designed to be ignored by morning. This is a coordinated, full commitment campaign. United States and Israeli forces, together, targeting not just Iran's nuclear infrastructure, but its air defenses, its command networks, and its ability to retaliate. Can they actually neutralize Iran's nuclear program and its regional military power? Or does striking Iran open a door that nobody, on any side, knows how to close? Now, this is a thought experiment built entirely on open source information. Real-world military planning involves classified intelligence. This script cannot access, but what is publicly known is already alarming enough to work with. Iran is not a paper tiger, and that needs to be said clearly before anything else. Its air defense network is layered and partially redundant. Russian-supplied S-300 batteries, domestically produced Bavar 373 systems, Khordad 15 medium-range interceptors positioned across the country's western corridor. Its ballistic missile arsenal numbers in the hundreds, with ranges covering United States bases at Al Udeid in Qatar, the 5th Fleet headquarters in Bahrain, and Israeli territory simultaneously. The Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps operates on parallel command authority, separate from conventional military structure, meaning you can strike the top of the hierarchy and the institution keeps functioning beneath it. The terrain is not cooperative. 85 million people. Mountain ranges that would make any ground campaign a generational commitment, and an urban population distributed across a country larger than Western Europe. Most critically, Iran does not need to escalate from inside its own borders. Hezbollah sits in Lebanon with an arsenal commonly estimated at over 150,000 rockets and missiles, a stockpile larger than most European nations maintain in their entire military inventories. Houthi forces in Yemen, Iraqi Shia militias within driving distance of American bases. The map was already a front before the first bomb fell. What the United States and Israel bring to this is the kind of asymmetry that makes military planners speak carefully and everyone else go quiet. The centerpiece of the American strike package is the B-2 Spirit stealth bomber, carrying the GBU-57 massive ordnance penetrator, a 30,000-pound bomb, heavier than 4 fully loaded pickup trucks designed for one specific purpose: destroying deeply buried, hardened facilities. The kind Fordow is. The B-2 approaches at altitude on a radar cross-section roughly the size of a large bird. Iranian air defense systems optimized for conventional aircraft are searching for the wrong shape. Israeli F-35I Adirs enter from the west, each one flying faster than sound and carrying standoff precision munitions. Tomahawk cruise missiles launch from Gulf destroyers, flying at roughly 550 miles per hour. From Gulf positions, that is a flight time of 2 to 3 hours to Tehran area targets, which is approximately as long as a city has to decide what to do next. And before any of this is visible on a radar screen, United States Cyber Command and Israeli Unit 8200 have been inside Iranian air defense communication networks for hours. The radar operators will start seeing clean screens where there should be data. It will take several minutes to understand that this is not equipment failure. No wind dependency. No warning the existing frameworks can process. No defense posture designed for this combination. Hour zero begins in silence. That is the part Iran's air defense commanders will describe later with the most unease. Not the explosions, but the silence that preceded them, when the boards went dark, sector by sector, and the phone lines stopped working, and the only communication method that still functioned was a runner on foot. The cyber operation severs radar networks across the Western Approach corridor before a single aircraft crosses the border. An IRGC commander near Isfahan reaches for a landline. The line is dead. He issues positioning orders by runner, a method not practiced since the 1980s war with Iraq. On the streets of Tehran, the sirens begin. People who remember the Iran-Iraq war know the sound in their bodies before their minds register it. People who don't are learning it now, standing in apartment doorways, looking up at a sky that is not yet showing them anything. The Tomahawk salvos hit first. Air defense batteries, radar stations, known command infrastructure. Then the B-2s arrive over Fordow. The GBU-57 does not produce a surface explosion. It burrows. When it detonates 80 or more meters underground, the shockwave moves through bedrock, and the engineers inside Fordow feel the floor shift before they hear anything at all. The ceiling holds or it doesn't. Nobody outside a very small room will know the answer for weeks. Natanz's above-ground structures take precision strikes on electrical and fuel infrastructure. Secondary fires begin. Iranian intercept missiles fire into sectors where the stealth aircraft have already turned and gone. Then Iran fires back. Within the first 6 hours, ballistic missiles, Shahab-3 and Qiyam variants, launched toward Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar, where roughly 10,000 American personnel are stationed. The salvo is sized to saturate Thayadi and Patriot interceptors simultaneously, mixing warheads with decoys, forcing the defense to make choices. Some missiles get through. A runway is cratered. Aircraft burn on the ground. American personnel are killed. The number does not matter for what happens next. What matters is that it happened. This is no longer a strike on Iran. This is a war. The proxy network does not wait for instructions. Hezbollah begins its largest rocket barrage since 2006, saturating Iron Dome, David's Sling, and Arrow batteries across northern and central Israel at the same time, forcing the layered defense to operate at the edge of its intercept capacity across multiple threat tiers simultaneously. In Iraq and Syria, militia drones and rockets hit American forward positions. Houthi forces launch toward Israeli territory and accelerate drone operations against Red Sea shipping. The Strait of Hormuz, through which approximately 1 in every 5 barrels of oil on Earth transits each day, becomes contested water. Iranian fast attack boats and shore-based anti-ship missiles threaten Gulf shipping lanes. Oil markets, which opened the morning of the strike at whatever price they opened, move in one direction only. The speed of that movement is the world's economy, registering that a choke point just became a battlefield. But here's where it gets complicated, and this is the part that matters most. The strikes worked and did not work at the same time. Natanz is significantly damaged. Iranian conventional air power is largely suppressed within the first 72 hours. Multiple air defense sites are degraded or destroyed, but Fordow is the question mark that does not resolve. The deepest bunkers may have survived the penetrators. Iranian nuclear scientists are alive. The enrichment equipment that was dispersed to secondary sites, because Iran began dispersing its program after 2003, when it watched what happened to Iraq, is still operating somewhere. The program has been set back. Estimates from non-proliferation analysts range from 1 to 3 years, possibly more. Not eliminated, delayed. The United States and Israel can win every air engagement in this scenario. What they cannot do is occupy Iran. They cannot install a government or dismantle a political system that has now been handed its most powerful domestic narrative in decades, the narrative of a nation under foreign attack. That narrative does not weaken the regime. It hardens it. It is not speculation. It is the consistent pattern from every case where a state's nuclear ambitions survived a military strike and reconstituted. The GBU-57 inventory is finite. The B-2 fleet numbers around 20 aircraft. The political coalition that quietly tolerated the 2024 limited strike, Gulf states looking the other way, regional neighbors staying neutral, is now fracturing in public. Saudi Arabia is calling for de-escalation. Turkey is issuing formal condemnations. China is at the United Nations Security Council before the smoke clears. Russia, stretched by other commitments, cannot send forces, but is moving naval assets in the eastern Mediterranean and supplying intelligence. The war that was supposed to close the nuclear question has reopened every other question simultaneously. Striking Iran was not the hard part. It never was. In the months that follow, the event enters memory differently, depending on where you are standing. An Iranian grandmother in Tehran uses the same phrase her mother used to describe the Iran-Iraq war, the night the sky broke. And her grandchildren will inherit both the phrase and the meaning. A Fordow engineer who survived the initial strike cannot describe the underground shockwave to journalists. He tells his family only that the mountain made a decision, and they were on the right side of it. In Houston and Tel Aviv, officials speak in the careful language of mission parameters and strategic objectives and degraded timelines. In Sana'a and South Beirut and the militia outposts along the Syrian border, commanders who received activation, signals the morning of the strike, do not describe what happened as a war. They describe it as confirmation. Because what this attack joined in Iranian political memory is a specific lineage that predates the Islamic Republic itself. A continuous story of foreign interference that every government in Tehran, across every ideology, has used as its central unifying argument. The strike that was meant to end the threat will be taught in Iranian schools as the latest chapter of that story. The centrifuges that survived will be rebuilt faster, buried deeper, dispersed further. And the program that was supposed to be set back by years will carry, from this moment forward, the most powerful motivation any weapons program can have. Somewhere beneath the Zagros Mountains, in a facility that may or may not have survived, a centrifuge is either still spinning or waiting to be replaced. Nobody outside a very small room knows which. That single unanswerable question, buried under a mountain, is exactly what this war was fought over, and exactly what it failed to resolve.